In this set of videos, we'll be looking at some of the moral, social and ethical issues that surround computing in the modern world, both in terms of the great benefits technology brings and the problems and issues it now presents. In this video, we'll be looking at censorship and the internet, as well as how computing technology is used to monitor behaviour. In short, censorship on the internet is any act which results in the deliberate suppression of material, either in the form of what can be published or what can be accessed. Internet censorship comes in many forms and is a topic of great debate. Many schools and organisations will censor access to material they feel is inappropriate for students or employees to be accessing during the school or work time, and they do this by using filtering software. A school, for example, would have a moral as well as a legal obligation to block access to inappropriate material in order to safeguard the students as part of its duty of care. However, schools will often block access to far less controversial sites. Popular sites blocked commonly by schools and businesses include social media, Facebook, Twitter, and video streaming sites such as YouTube. These sites are not inappropriate of themselves, however schools and employees often consider them nothing but distractions. This carries its own issues. Many schools who block YouTube under the guise of being educationally distracting, despite the huge amount of educational materials the students and teachers are now prevented from taking advantage of as part of their learning. For example, these flipped classroom videos. However, censorship at a school or business level is not really an area of great debate. At the end of the day, an individual chooses to attend a given school or job at a given company, and thus has chosen to follow the organisation policies. The debate really kicks in at a national and government level. Governments often require internet service providers to block certain websites from their users. In the UK, for example, our government requires internet service providers to block sites relating to extremist politics, extreme pornography, and more recently, sites that are infringing copyright. Most would argue this is sensible and balanced, and the use of government to intervene on a moral level in extreme content is understandable. However, not all countries are the same, and the issue is hotly debated as to where to draw the line between protecting the general public and infringing on their freedom of speech and human rights. Indeed, Tim Berners-Lee, creator of the World Wide Web, is leading a group who are arguing the case of free and neutral internet access to be written into the United Nations as a basic human right. There are some governments, such as North Korea, who so tightly control the access to their content over the internet that their citizens are barely aware of what is out there. This action is taken to ensure the public in these countries are not able to access any material which might contradict the messages of the political and social situation of that country. Advances in technology have also led to a range of computer devices and methods which can be used to track and monitor behaviour. Technologies to track and monitor human behaviour tend to fall into three broad categories. Some are deliberately chosen by the user, such as the increasingly common range of sports watches which monitor heart rates, calorie burns, distance travelled. These are the least controversial of the three types, as it's the user's own personal choice to use the device, and usually this is done due to some perceived improvement to their lifestyle. The second category contains technologies which are more passive, such as CCTV cameras. We're all used to seeing these around towns, cities, tube stations. With almost 2 million CCTV cameras in England alone now, you'd probably be hard-pressed to go about your everyday life without being filmed by one. Most people would agree that the added security offered by CCTV is worth it, especially if this can lead to a reduction in crime. However, others would argue it's gone too far. And where does surveillance in order to protect turn into invasion of privacy? The third category is possibly the most controversial and includes all forms of technology which are used to forcibly track and monitor behaviour. This ranges from tagging devices attached to criminals in order to track their movement, to internal monitoring systems being used by organisations to log online activity of their employers. The line on acceptable use of technology to monitor and track individuals is a grey one. Most people would agree that an employee has a right to expect and monitor the work rates and productivity of its employees. After all, they're paying them to do a job. It would also be reasonable to have a company policy which does not allow them onto social media sites during office hours. Is it, however, reasonable for them to monitor what is actually posted to social media sites during an employee's lunch break? Or is this now a step too far?